Good morning. Today's lecture is about medial compartment of thigh. And this is the compartment, the medial compartment. And this medial compartment, this is separated from this anterior compartment. This is the anterior compartment comprising of this quadriceps and sartorius is here. So this is the anterior compartment, this is the medial compartment, and in the intermediate plane, this is the medial intermuscular septa. Though in medial intermuscular septa is not as much developed as this lateral intermuscular septa, this is thinner than that, but here it lies between this vastus medialis, which is lying anteriorly, and posteriorly are these two muscles, adductor longus and adductor brevis. So it lies between the vastus medialis and adductor muscles. This is the medial intermuscular septa. On the exterior aspect, it is attached to the fascia lata, and on the anterior it is attached to the linea aspera of the femur. Now the medial compartment, it consists of these muscles which are known as hip adductors, and these includes gracilis, pectineus, adductor longus, adductor brevis, adductor magnus, and obturator externus. Arterial supply of these compartment is mainly the profunda femoris artery, which is proximally it gets supply from the obturator artery. So this is supported by the obturator artery initially only, proximally only. So the main supply is known as the profunda femoris artery, and the vessels to these adductor muscles. This is the artery known as the artery to the adductors. Generally, it arises from this first perforating artery, this artery to the adductors. Also, the supply is assisted by the medial circumflex femoral and other perforating branches. Now, venous drainage follows accordingly. So, these are the profunda femoris and obturator veins. And now, supply is through the obturator nerve by its anterior and posterior divisions. Now, we will see these are the muscles. This is the medial compartment. Superficially, we can see this is the gracilis. Here, in lying the floor of this femoral triangle, medial one is the pectineus. So this is the pectineus. Then this is adductor longus, and where the adductor longus ends, below that we can see here, this is the deep lying adductor magnus. If we dissect this, cut these, then we can appreciate the deeper muscles. So here the pectineus has been cut, adductor longus has been cut, and we can appreciate deeper to that. This is adductor brevis, and since the adductor longus has been cut, we can appreciate the deeper lying adductor magnus. Also, we can visualize the vascularity and this innervation of obturator nerve in the dissected view. So we start with the muscles. Start with the first muscle, which is the pectineus. Now the pectineus, it arises from this pecten pubis, this pectineal line, which is known as the pecten pubis, and it insert along a line from lesser trochanter to linea aspera. This is the portion. So it insert along a line from lesser trochanter to linea aspera. Now this muscle, it has a dual innervation. So this is a hybrid one, and gets supply from the femoral nerve as well as from the obturator nerve. Especially sometimes there is an accessory obturator nerve which supplies it. Otherwise, it is supplied by the anterior division of the obturator nerve. Now, the action is it adducts the thigh and flexes it on the pelvis. It crosses this hip joint, so it causes flexion also, and we can appreciate it in the floor of the femoral triangle. So this is the muscle, causes adduction as well as flexion. Now next is this long slender muscle, and that's why it's got its name gracilis. So gracilis, it arises from this inferior pubic ramus and the adjoining part of the ischial ramus. This portion, and this initial portion, it is fleshy, it is broader, and as it insert into this space and sinus, where there is an insertion of sartorius, gracilis, and semitendinosus. This portion is known as the pes and sinus, which is the portion lying in the upper part of the medial surface of the tibia, just below the medial condyle, and this is the portion which is known as pes and sinus. So here it insert, and this insertion is behind the insertion of the sartorius and in front of the insertion of the semitendinosus. Now this is again innervated by obturator nerve. Now this the gracilis, this is the only muscle which crosses both the joint, hip joint as well as the knee joint. So it is the adductor of the thigh. Also it causes the flexion of the leg, and this traction, it causes the rotation inward rotation. Now next muscle is adductor longus, and this is the superficial most muscle. Adductor longus, it is the muscle which lies more superficially, and this anterior most large muscle, it is a fan shaped muscle. This fan shaped muscle, it lies in the same plane as that of the pectineus, and this muscle, it arises by a narrow tendon from this portion of the body lying between the pubic crest and pubic symphysis, this portion. So adductor longus, its origin is by a narrow tendon, and often this tendinous portion is ossified because of the continuous traction. In case of the horse rider, they keep themselves in continuous adducted position. To keep themselves on the horse, they keep them adducted continuously. Because of that, this portion is ossified. This adductor longus origin is ossified, and this ossified portion is known as the rider's bone. And then it insertion is, this is a fan shaped muscle, so origin is narrow but insertion is wider, so it insert by an aponeurosis into the linea aspera, and this is the insertion is wider, and insert in the middle third of the femur between the vastus medialis and adductor magnus. So this portion is a wider insertion in the linea aspera. And as we have already discussed, this muscle, it lies between the femoral and the profunda femoris vessels. This is the intermediate portion which divides the femoral artery, femoral vessels, which are lying superficial to that, and profunda femoris, they are lying deep to that. And so this is the adductor longus, lying in the same plane as that of the pectineus. This origin is the tendinous one, where it is often ossified, which is known as the rider's bone, and the insertion, this is wider, so it is a fan shaped one, and this insertion is in the middle third of the thigh between the vastus medialis and adductor magnus. This portion, it causes adduction as well as medial rotation, inward rotation of the thigh. Now next is again a fan shaped muscle, though it is smaller and lying deeper in the deeper plane, and this is adductor brevis. So it arises from the body and the inferior ramus, of the pelvis. So and it insert along a line from lesser trochanter to linea aspera. This is the portion, adductor brevis, along a line from lesser trochanter to linea aspera. And relation wise, it is very important because it lies in the intermediate plane which separates the obturator nerve into anterior and posterior division. So anterior division, it lies anterior to this, and posterior division, it lies just posterior, deeper to this. So it lies between the two division of the obturator nerve, and often it is innervated by the obturator nerve. We will discuss that. Now the action, it causes this is the muscle, adductor brevis, again fan shaped. Origin is narrow, insertion is wider from lesser trochanter to the linea aspera, initial portion. This portion, so it causes adduction and flex the femur at the hip. Now next muscle is adductor magnus. As the name suggests, this is the largest of the adductors, but it is divisible into two different parts because of their origin and also because of their mechanism of action. So it is divided into adductor part, which arises from this inferior pubic ramus, and conjoint part of the ischial ramus. This part is the adductor part, and the part rising from this ischial tuberosity, this portion is the hamstring part. So it arises from the infralateral aspect of the ischial tuberosity. Now from here, there are two different parts. One which is arising from the ischial tuberosity. This is a thickened portion, thickened fiber. So this thickened mass which arises from the ischial tuberosity, it descends almost vertically. Towards the medial supracondylar line, and there is a tubercle on its end, which is known as the adductor tubercle. So it descends vertically from this ischial tuberosity, and it is attached to the adductor tubercle and the adjoining part of the medial supracondylar line. Now the adductor fiber, they insert in sequence from this supracondylar line above this adductor portion. Hamstring part is attached to this adductor tubercle and the related part of the medial supracondylar line, but the adductor part, it is inserted into a series like fashion from this medial supracondylar line towards this medial aspect, towards the gluteal tuberosity. So the fiber from the ischial ramus, they insert via this broad aponeurosis into the linea aspera and proximal part of the medial supracondylar line, and the fibers which are arising from the pubic ramus, these fibers, these are the short horizontal line fibers, and they are inserted into the medial margin of the gluteal tuberosity of the here. Three sets. Those from the ischial tuberosity. This is a thickened mass directly attaching itself to the adductor tubercle and the distal portion of the medial supracondylar line. From the inferior portion, this from the ischial ramus, they insert into this linea aspera in sequence, broader portion, and those from this inferior pubic ramus, they are attached to the this gluteal tuberosity. Now this long linear attachment of the muscle, it is interrupted by a series of osteoaponeurotic opening, and these are bridged by the tendinous arches. These are the opening, and they are bridged by this tendinous portion, flattened tendon, aponeurotic portion. So upper four of these, they are small and they transmit the perforating branches of the profunda femoris. First three, they transmit the perforating branches, and this fourth one, this transmit the termination of the profunda femoris, which is known as the fourth perforator. This one, 2, 3, 4 perforators, perforating branches of the profunda femoris, and this fourth one, larger, this one is for the terminal portion of the profunda femoris vessels. And here there is a big gap in the proximal portion of the medial supracondylar line. This big gap is the largest one, and it allows, this is known as the adductor hiatus. This allows the femoral vessel to cross and move posteriorly from anterior to posterior. So from here they cross and they become the popliteal. So this lowest one, which is lying between the this adductor fiber, this ischial fiber and this adductor fiber, this is the hiatus, and from this hiatus the femoral vessels, they move posteriorly and they becomes popliteal vessels. Now this innervation is because of their origin, this is again hybrid muscle, so it is doubly innervated. This adductor part is innervated by the obturator nerve, and this hamstring part from the ischial tuberosity, this part is innervated by the tibial division of the sciatic nerve. And this is adductor magnus. Adductor magnus causes adduction as well as medial rotation of the thigh. Now these are the fibers, initial fiber from this inferior pubic ramus almost horizontal towards the gluteal tuberosity. Then this middle fiber from the ischial ramus along the linea aspera, and these fiber from the ischial tuberosity descend almost vertical. These are the hamstring part, thicker fiber. And here we can also appreciate this osteoporotic opening, this opening for the perforator. 1, 2, 3 for perforator, and this fourth one again for perforator, but this one is the termination of the profunda femoris vessels. So there are 4 opening altogether, and this is the hiatus for the passage of the femoral vessels. So these are about the adductor muscle, but one should always appreciate these adductor are not in case of the standing erect posture. When you abduct your thigh and then it causes the adduction, this is mainly done by the gravity itself. This is not done by the adductors. Adductors are in action when you are either standing from the sitting posture or when you are moving, then they facilitate. They are more like a stabilizer. They stabilize the thigh or the hip joint rather, then causing the pure adduction. And this adductor magnus being related posteriorly, being related to the hamstring, this also causes extension, and this adductor longus mainly, along with adductor brevis also, but adductor longus mainly, that causes flexion. So in the upright posture, they stabilize the trunk, working from the below on the trunk. So now next is obturator externus. Now this muscle, this is here. So it arises from the whole of the obturator membrane and from the this anterior bony margin of this obturator foramen. So it arises from the membrane and the adjacent portion of the this margin of the bone, and this is inserted onto the trochanteric fossa. Trochanteric fossa, which is lying posteriorly in the on the medial surface of the greater trochanter. This is a deep pit. So this is the trochanteric fossa. So it insert into the floor of that trochanteric fossa. And this membrane as well as this muscle both fell short, and they don't cover this gap, this obturator foramina completely. So that's why there is a gap. So both membrane and the muscle, they fall short of this obturator foramina. They don't cover it completely, and that's why there is a notch above, and from this notch arises the neurovascularity of this obturator portion or this adductor portion. So through which this obturator vessels and obturator nerve, they come into this adductor compartment. So it is innervated by the obturator nerve from the posterior division of the obturator nerve, which also pierce it, and this is mainly again a stabilizer, as well as since it is being attached posteriorly to this, so it is a lateral rotator of the thigh. So the traction causes lateral rotation, outward rotation, because it is attached on the post. And this is the vascularity of the medial compartment, but it only supplies it proximally, as distally the main supply is by the profunda femoris. which give rise to the artery to the adductor. So this is the portion. So this obturator artery, as you can appreciate, it arises as a branch of this internal iliac. Here you can appreciate this is the common iliac dividing into external and internal iliac. So it arises as a branch of internal iliac artery, and it emerges from this gap above this obturator membrane because it failed to fill it completely, failed to fill the obturator foramina completely. So there is a gap above from which the neurovascularity of this medial compartment passes. So it emerges from this obturator foramina with the nerve, and it divides into the anterior and posterior branches. And these branches, they encircle the foramina from the anastomosis, and it is lying between the obturator externus and the membrane, this anastomotic circle, and they anastomose with each other and also with the medial circumflex femoral artery, and they supplies this compartment proximally. And from the posterior branch, it gives rise to this articular twig to the hip joint, which passes through this transverse acetabular ligament, bridging this gap, this notch in this acetabular portion. So it passes through the transverse acetabular ligament, and then it passes through the ligament of the head of femur and supplies the fovea. So it gives a branch to this. Now about the obturator nerve. The obturator nerve, it arises as ventral branches from L2, 3 and 4, and as it arises initially, it descends through the substance, through the fibers of the psoas major, and then it descends again and lies on the this portion lies on the here. So as it descends, it is running on this lateral wall of the lesser side of the pelvis. Here it lies above and in front of the obturator vessels, and from here near the foramina it divides into anterior and posterior branches, and these are initially separated by the obturator externus initially, and later on, as we have already discussed in the adductor brevis, it is divided by the adductor brevis. So anterior to the adductor brevis is the anterior branch, posterior to it is the posterior branch. So anterior branch first, near the obturator foramina, the anterior branch, it gives a twig to the hip joint. Then behind the pectineus, it supplies adductor longus, gracilis, and usually adductor brevis, and also it supplies the pectineus, and at the lower border of the adductor longus, it forms plexus which is known as subsartorial plexus. We have already discussed it, the subsartorial canal. This plexus is formed by this twig from this anterior branch of the obturator nerve, and also from the anterior from this anterior branch of obturator nerve, which communicates with the medial cutaneous nerve of the thigh and saphenous branch of the femoral nerve. They form this subsartorial plexus just in the roof of this subsartorial canal, adductor canal. and these give set of branches which pierce the fascial artery and supply the skin over the medial side of the thigh. So here you can see, you can appreciate this. This is the posterior branch, this is the anterior branch with respect to the this adductor brevis. Posteriorly goes is the posterior branch, anteriorly lying is the anterior branch. Now the posterior branch pierces initially obturator externus and comes down and then supplies the obturator externus, then passes behind the adductor brevis and just in front of the adductor magnus, and then it ramifies into multiple branches which supplies the adductor magnus, and from this only a terminal twig which remains, and this terminal twig it descends up to the knee joints. So it gives a articular branch to the knee joint from the posterior branch. Now there's something about this vascularity. We have already discussed there were two anastomosis. So first anastomosis is in the trochanteric fossa known as the trochanteric anastomosis. So this is anastomosis lying in the trochanteric fossa, and this is formed by the ascending branches of medial and lateral circumflex femoral artery and descending branches from the superior and inferior gluteal artery, and often fast perforating artery also contributes. So they form this anastomosis in the trochanteric fossa, and this is known as the trochanteric anastomosis. And from this trochanteric anastomosis, there's this arterial ring which is formed around the femoral neck, and it give rise to the branches which supplies the neck as well as the head of the femur. So these branches from this ring, they are known as the retinacular vessels which pierce the capsule and ascend along the femoral neck to supply the head of the femur. So this is the main supply, and only a part of this fovea, this is supplied by the acetabular branch from this obturator artery, which we have already discussed how it passes through this ligament of head of the femur to supply this fovea portion. Now there is another anastomosis which is lying a bit below. This is known as the cruciate anastomosis. Cruciate anastomosis, and it is formed between the transverse branches of medial circumflex and lateral circumflex femoral artery and descending branch of the inferior gluteal and ascending branch of the first perforating artery. So it lies bit below at the level of the lesser trochanter, and as you can see, this is a plus shaped or cross shaped anastomosis. That's why this is known as cruciate anastomosis. And here it is formed between the branches, transverse branches from medial and circumflex, medial and lateral circumflex femoral artery. There is a descending branch from this inferior gluteal artery, descending branch from the inferior gluteal artery, and ascending branch from the first perforating artery, and they form this cross-shaped anastomosis at the level of the lesser trochanter, which is known as cruciate. Now these anastomosis, this trochanteric anastomosis as well as this cruciate anastomosis, they are the route for the collateral circulation, especially in case of where there is a blockage of femoral artery just proximal to the origin, where it gives rise to the profunda femoris, and there is a proximal blockage. So because these anastomosis, they connect the branches of this internal iliac and external iliac. The branches from internal iliac, they are superior and inferior gluteal arteries. So there is an anastomosis of these, and if there is this proximal blockage, they provide this route for the collateral circulation. In that cases, these anastomosis, they enlarges and they provide the route for this collateral circulation. So that's all about the medial compartment of the thigh.